at 7 o'clock. And I'd like to call together the January 25th, 2024 school committee meeting. Would rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This evening we have a consent agenda posted, which is the minutes from our January 11th, 2024 meeting, as well as the oath of bills and payroll. There a motion to accept the minutes and the oath of bills and payroll.
I move that we accept the consent agenda with minutes and oaths, bills and payroll.
Motion made by Elaine,
Second.
seconded by Beano. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that passes unanimously. This is our first opportunity for interested citizens. We've got a packed house tonight, but I think everybody's here for one particular purpose. But if there's anybody here this evening or on Zoom that wishes to speak before the school committee, this was your first opportunity. There'll be a second opportunity at the end of the meeting. Hearing from no one, we will move on to our recognition portion of the evening. So Jacinda Sanders is here to present the student representative report.
Schcmte, they're excited to bring Schcmte's virtual storytime back next Thursday. They hope students and their families will join them between 6:30 and 8 for some bedtime stories and hot chocolate. Schcmte would like to remind families of the deadline to apply as a community prepared in their integrated preschool closes next Friday, February 2nd. At Russell Street, students have been enjoying the recent snow, and there are multiple snow people in the front circle as of today. Some cast members from The Little Mermaid came over to the Russell Street prior to the opening night to share a few songs for the third graders. This week, students have been map testing at Russell Street. Teachers are always impressed with how hard the students work on these benchmarks. At the high school, from the January 16th to January 19th, it's no name call. January 20th is the Seal by Literacy test, and it's also the NHS State Sale at Donaldson to benefit Rise Against Hunger. January 22nd to 26th is the Great Kindness Challenge, beginning with the door decorating contest on Monday. On January 23rd, 109 students stayed after school for the NEMO, which is the New England Math League, and it was the biggest attendance yet. On the 26th, term 2 closes. On February 6th is the sophomore classroom meeting during Flex, and it's hosted the townwide band concert at 6:30 p.m.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Superintendent Clancy, any other recognition you wish to share with the school
Just a
committee this week?
couple, thank you. This last weekend, we had the LMS musical performance of Little Mermaid Junior. I'd like to thank the cast and crew for an incredible performance, and our director and the teacher Ashley. Oh my goodness. Where's my computer? Sheldon. Thank you, Sheldon. Ashley Sheldon, thank you for choreography and the music. Crowds were between 450 to 500 people for each of the 3 performances. I think that's the highest we've ever had. So it was an incredible experience. So thanks to the drama program for supporting us, and we're looking forward to the next performance. The second acknowledgement this week at Littleton High School is Kindness Week. We're a kindness certified district, and the LHS is a kindness certified school. They had a door judging contest this week. The advisory with their students decorated doors with kindness slogans, and I had the privilege of being one of the judges, and did an incredible job as well. Nice messages were sent, and really pleased with the fact that our high school continues to celebrate Kindness Week every year. Special thanks to Dr. Turner for organizing this event. Last acknowledgement, we were able to receive some COVID tests from the State Health Department. Families received a letter last week, and we will be distributing those COVID tests to families next week. They also had an option if you wanted their child to take the test home in a backpack. There was a form that they filled out. So we're excited that there was some interest. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of tests, 1 per family, but that's pretty good to get that many tests for free from the Department of Health. So special thanks to them as well.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so this evening we've got one order of new business and a couple presentations scheduled. We're going to take things slightly out of order this evening because of those in attendance. We'll get everybody in and out of here. So the first presentation this evening will be Littleton's 2024 Playbook Initiative, student roster, team trainers, or here. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming out. It's nice to see so many faces. We invite you to the podium and you guys take it away.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'm Matt Levangie. I'm the assistant principal at the middle school, and along with Lynn Snow, and we are running our playbook initiative, which is a partnership between Project 351 and Boston Celtics, and it is facilitated by our high school facilitators, Harris Khan and Caleb Cherubino, and they are leading these kids in discussions around DEIB, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And today we had our first hour and 45-minute session, and it was phenomenal. These kids attacked a difficult subject for a lot of people, and they did it in an amazing fashion. I don't want to call Lynn out for crying twice, but
But you did.
it was amazing. There were times I just had to look up and was like, oh my Lord, I was not like just college, let alone sixth grade. It was fabulous. So I'm going to introduce the students. If you are here, please stand up so you can be recognized. Harris Khan and Caleb Cherubino, there was our high school facilitators. They did a fabulous job. Students that are involved, Madison Saunders, Aubrey McCarthy, Angelise Gavin, Amelia Garrido, Nora Pasquale, Lana Yang, Lauren Fitzgerald, Nyla Jacob, Darsh Sharma, Sarah Kerrigan, Andrew Murch, Sophia Capaccia, Zachary Ryan, Henry Young, Ruby Willis, Abigail Mudasu, Carolyn Nash, Cheyenne Oberski, Adrian Ion, Caroline Shane, Aiden Donahue, Kira Grant, Christiana Rains, Michaela Ridwanski, Andy Harriman, Brianna Tucker, Janie Lafferty, Eric Santos, Cassidy Forsberg, and Abat Marion. These students did a fabulous job, and actually we'd like one or two to come up and talk a little bit. So we've asked Maddie Saunders to come up. You can talk a little bit about how it was today, sort of your experience and why you wanted to be part of this initiative.
Hi, everybody. As you know, my name is Madison Saunders, and I'm a sixth grader at the Littleton Middle School. From my opinion, my experience today in the Playbook Initiative was very, what's the word? I don't really know, but it was very pump up, you know? Like, I gotten to hear a lot of people's opinions of what they thought in the statements and scenarios that we had in our playbooks. And it made me understand, like, wow, this is what people had to go through from different religions and cultures. And I was very happy that people were opened to tell us their, like, very personal lives And that made me open up in my personal life, and struggles that I've had. And yeah, I think it was I was very happy to be in there. And I cannot wait to learn how to become a better leader from that.
So to participate in the initiative, there was an application process and I was blown away. We had 47 applications for 30 spots and the writing, first of all, our ELA department is knocking it out of the park. These kids did a fabulous job. We are actually going to ask Kira Grant to come up and read her application essay.
I am interested in participating in the Playbook Initiative because I firmly believe that exposure to other people's point of view helps you grow a tolerance understanding for them in their lives. I think the Playbook Initiative program would be an incredible opportunity for me to learn how to build a community of diversity that is not only accepted but celebrated. I would also want to use these new problem-solving skills that we will learn and apply them to my less diverse town and school, since my school lacks diversity, the students have less knowledge of the weight of their actions have. With my obtained knowledge, I would be able to properly insert myself in a situation and educate my peers on the significance of their words have and the effect on the atmosphere of our school. This is why I would love to participate in the Playbook Initiative workshop. I hope you consider my application.
So to tell us just a little bit more, we're going to have Harris Khan and Cherubino.
All right. So when I was writing my application, they asked me why I chose to be a playbook trainer, right? So my motivation as a playbook trainer is to teach the younger generation and educate them about the very cruciality about DEIB. So in recent times, DEIB has been brought to the attention of the younger generation, but due to the presence of social media and different social norms, its core values are often mistaken or mistook by people who are hearing about it for the first time. So by teaching students the true significance of diversity, equity, and inclusivity, as well as belonging, I want to make them feel comfortable when they're discussing related events or issues and not be discouraged to come up and ask or have any questions about that. So that was my motivation as a playbook trainer.
I don't know how I'm gonna one up that, but so this is an excerpt that I wrote for my application, and that said, my belief in the importance of inclusivity motivates my interest in serving as a playbook trainer. As a Littleton student, I've firsthand seen how embracing diversity enriches our community and how it creates a sense of unity within the students and educators. This is something I'd like to continue on. I believe it's important to educate our youth on the topics of bias and discrimination and touch on the significance of equity and acceptance in order to make every person within our town and beyond the world feel a sense of belonging. A better understanding between all of us will allow us to move forward with much more compassion and the shared vision of a fair world, which is what I believe we should all strive for. As a playbook trainer, I seek to make an impact within our community, inspiring them to recognize the value of diversity and learn more about different cultures and walks of life. Ideally, I'd like to contribute to a cause that encourages every student to be their authentic selves in a school system where diversity and inclusion is celebrated and no student feels the need to change themselves in any way to fit in.
Thank you all. I would love you all to just take a moment and feel this moment. This is a powerful thing that you all have done. And I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life. And I hope you all do too. As I said earlier today, you all are change makers. And that's a big deal. So I appreciate each and every one of you for taking the risk to participate, to fill out that application and to be part of this program. So I just wanted to say a couple things about how this is such a powerful example of how important it is to elevate student voice. I'm beyond impressed by these students and the parents. You've all done wonderful. And I applaud their bravery and their willingness to engage in these difficult conversations. This is a skill set that many adults, myself included, find challenging. I could never have had the conversations that you all had today when I was in sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. Absolutely not. And so I'm so proud of you all. And this experience brought to mind some of the work that the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development is doing. They're an organization where there's a form of governance where across 37 democracies that collaborate to develop policy standards to promote sustainable economic growth. But their work on education helps individuals and nations identify and develop the knowledge and skills that drive better jobs and better lives, generate prosperity, and promote social inclusion. The concept of student agency is rooted in the principle that students have the ability and the will to positively influence their own lives and the world around them. Student agency is defined as the capacity to set a goal, reflect and act responsibly, and affect change. It's about acting rather than being acted upon, shaping rather than being shaped, and making responsible decisions and choices rather than accepting these determined by others. When students are agents in their learning, and when they play an active role in deciding what and how they will learn, they tend to show greater motivation to learn and are more likely to define objectives for their learning. These students are also more likely to have learned how to learn, an invaluable skill that they can and will use throughout their lives. Agency can be exercised in nearly every context, moral, social, economic, creative, and the notion that students playing an active role in their education is so central to learning. And this is a beautiful example of that. So thank you all for doing it. Anybody have any questions about the program?
Questions, comments from the school committee?
I'll just say I had I had a really horrible, discouraging day at work, and you all have just given me hope once again. So thank you.
Yeah, and I can second that. I really appreciate you guys all coming here and allowing us to be a part of this, even just these few minutes of having you guys in the room together. It's so inspiring that you guys are going to be mentors to your peers and to younger generations coming through Littleton. I'm so proud of all of you guys for participating in this, and I hope this is something we can continue to do. So you guys are really the leaders in this, so you guys should all really be proud of your participation. Thank you.
Yeah, well, when I first heard about this initiative, I was wondering how big the impact would be. You know, I was worried it would just be for a few students, and this has certainly dispelled that notion. I mean, the fact that so many of you are taking this so seriously that you would come to a school committee meeting to talk about it. And the other thing that impressed me was it must have been very well facilitated for so many of you to feel vulnerable enough to share your stories, because that it can be tough to break that ice, especially in a larger group. So yeah, it's super impressive. I'm so inspired by all of you, and that you would come here tonight. I mean, even coming to a school committee meeting was kind of a big deal. You know, it's a you know, you feel a little nervous, and so we're so grateful to see all your faces and understand the big impact that this is having. And I want to thank Lynn Snow and Beth Steele. You know, they are so invested in this work, and they put so much of their personal energy into this. And I just want everybody to know this is way beyond the scope of their job responsibilities. This is something that they do out of their heart. And we really owe them a debt of gratitude for being, you know, for caring so much about our community, that they put the effort into these kinds of initiatives. So thank you, both of you.
Well, the students make it easy.
I echo everything everybody already said. I want to thank the parents for coming out tonight and allowing your students to participate in the school committee meeting. I want to thank Principal Everhart and Vice Principal Levangie for the execution on this, as well as others, of course. I'm sure lots of folks were involved, but when we, as Elaine was saying, when we first heard about it, right, it was like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And then to see all the families show up tonight, it's kind of blows us away. I was curious if a couple of students would be interested in sharing an example or two of what you guys talked through. Maybe there was like a scenario you talked through, or it doesn't have to be personal, but you're all here. We'd love to hear from you. Patty? I like the outfit, by the way. Good job.
There was from the playbook that we had, little packet, there was a scenario talking about a kid who had a specific dateline for a assignment. And his religion says that like it was due on Monday and the group members only had or they were like busy over the weekend and they could only do Saturday because Sunday they had soccer games or something. And the main character of that package, Jordan, his religion is that it's like a free day on Saturday. Like they shouldn't do anything on Saturday, they should just lay around and have fun with their family. And the group members took offense of that and started saying that he should just break the rules of that religion and just keep going with the group members with the project. And we talked about how that can be very offensive to other people and how that like it's just like not okay when it comes to talking about people's religions, because some people can take it very seriously. Especially me, if I would have that, that'd be very personal. And we started talking about how to intervene in this incident very calmly and approachably, that like doesn't sound like you're eavesdropping, especially if you're not in that group, but at the same time, showing that you care for the victim and how to stop it and show the bullier that is saying that is not the right thing to say.
Another hand in the back of the room, yeah?
Hi, my name is Cheyenne Naborski. I'm in 8th grade. And we played this game. Well, not really a game, but we did this thing where like they would say a scenario and we would like say like we agree and we disagree or we're unsure about. And it was really cool to like not only to like share my own opinion, but able to like hear other people's opinion and be able to like think about it in these like scenarios and like other people like hear their other people's thinking. And like I was kind of like blown away by like the kids like interest in this. Like I thought I was gonna be the only one interested in this. So it was just like really cool to be able to hear others' ideas and stuff like that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Another one up there.
Anybody? Come on out.
Hi, my name is Janie Lafferty, and today, right when the Playbook Initiative started, kind of as a bit of an icebreaker, we did like an agree, disagree, or like unsure, where we would move around in the room depending on how we felt. And I thought that was like one of the most impactful things we did that day, because whenever I'm learning about something, I think that it's always a good thing to see different points of views and perspectives and opinions, and you wouldn't go act on something just from what you think or what you know. And I always think that that's good to just get different perspectives, and that was a good way for me to see it.
Awesome. Anybody else? Yeah, come on up.
Hi, my name is Michaela Radwanski, and I am an 8th grader at LMS. Our first Playbook Initiative was very eventful. We had a lot going on, and I was very surprised when I heard that a lot of people I knew and I'm friends with and other kids in grades I know were doing this, because I thought that not a lot of kids would care about this sort of stuff. And I was like very wowed by the amount of people that were there. And to go off of what some other kids said, like we did cool like icebreakers, and we got to learn about each other in different ways, and we got to just discuss topics that I don't hear about with other people I know, or I don't hear be talked about a whole lot, which was a really cool experience.
Awesome.
I'm just really impressed with the number of students who wanted to be part of the Playbook Initiative. This is such an important move for us as a school and a school district. The one way of beginning conversations is to encourage student voice and have conversations about celebrating diversity. the only way we're going to get to know each other better. Sometimes it involves difficult conversations that adults have trouble discussing. But today I've witnessed a number of you coming up to the podium and talking about things that are important to you. As a superintendent, I've been an advocate of student voice for a number of years within our schools, and I hope this is a beginning of more opportunities for our students to talk about things that are important to them in our schools. So thank you so much for taking part in this initiative, and I'm looking forward to having many more conversations throughout the year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
Okay, we totally good on this one? Yeah,
Yeah.
all right, we're good.
You all
Awesome.
can stay. It makes.
I'd like to hear much more from, please feel free to stay, but also feel free to go enjoy the rest.
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
They asked for this. I'm like.
Maybe just a second. Presentation. What's that? Sure.
Then Matt.
And then we'll just stay flat.
Yep. I'm flexible.
Okay. Yeah, I wish they did.
I said,
Okay, we're gonna keep the program moving along. We're gonna stick with the presentation portion of the evening and we'll just move on to the new school improvement plan updates, standard 3, community engagement, communication. We're gonna hear from. Come on,
I did help you out.
we're gonna hear from Principal Kane.
It's so fun to see them too, because I see them when they leave like this, so to see them come back. And sixth graders that I have, and I have Maddie's little brother in kindergarten, and I'm like, oh my gosh, so it's amazing. I just catch my breath. Oh, there she is. All right, so thank you everyone for having us again. I think this is our last time. This is, we just went out of order. Yeah, we're at number 3. We're gonna go back a little bit. So the goals, first goal that you'll hear from us is about effectively communicating our district's core values. So a couple action steps that we have at Chamberlain. We brought in the new family buddy program. I believe this was our 2nd year that we did it with our school and school council a couple of years ago. So what we do for our 1st grade families and 2nd grade families that are new to Schcmte, so they didn't come to us in kindergarten, they come to us in 1st grade and 2nd grade. Actually, Bina was on our school advisory council, school council when we brought this in, is we match them up with a buddy family in that grade level to help them ask those intimate questions that they may not want to ask at, like, a parent information night or an open house or with the teachers. So we do match up all of our. There's only a handful if that in each grade level, but we do match them up with a family. We ask for families in May that will be incoming in the fall, 1st grade and 2nd grade. Would you be interested? Please let us know. And then over the summer, we match them up with our new families. So that was just a way to have some communication between family members. Another thing that came out of our school council is the 2nd one, the kindergarten ambassador program. We talked a lot about what our kindergarten families want to know and want to see. And we went back and forth because, I think, well, most of us have young children or children that have grown up, and you've been a kindergarten mom, and it's nerve-wracking. You want to see what the school looks like. You want to know if they're going to have lunch, where they're going to hang their coats, are they going to be allowed to go to the bathroom, where they're going to have help at lunch. And so we talked about doing a video, and I'm always very hesitant with videos because sometimes they can land in the wrong hands. So we decided to do a kindergarten ambassador program. And we offer families who are current kindergarten families this year what we do. This will be our 3rd year doing it. We will invite kindergarten families to be ambassadors. So we welcome in incoming kindergarten families to come in for one night. We do 2 rounds, like a 4:30 to 5:30, and then like a 6 to 7 to accommodate families. And current kindergarten families will walk these parents through the building. So kind of give them a sneak preview of what their kids will see in the fall. We have frequently asked questions. We have places that they have to visit in school. And it's just another way to get our community just to feel more comfortable at Chamberlain without physically taking video of the building. The next one we have is just communication
between us and the community, and we have weekly newsletters that I send out every Friday with the help of the staff. And one thing that is coming out of our current school council is how to make the newsletter a little bit more appeasable to families. So I know that I think at some point in our district, we are looking at a new platform for our website and communication and newsletters and things like that. But we were talking more about what do families want to hear. So on Monday, we crafted a survey back at the beginning of January. On Monday, we'll be sending out a survey to families on what are the things that you want to hear. Like, do you really want to hear from me? I'm happy to put it out there, but sometimes I don't really know if people are reading my newsletter. Do you want to know the important dates that are at the bottom? Do you want that up towards the top of the newsletter? Do you want the nurses update near the top because it's not COVID anymore? Do you want that as a link? So we have, I think it's like a 3-question survey going out on Monday to families for us to just gather their feedback and kind of revise it based on what our community wants right now. The next piece we have, I have to credit to Heidi. I started this a couple years ago with second graders, and it was a goal of mine, and it just really got more than I could handle. So Heidi's actually taken this over, and it's a podcast with our second graders. I pump them out maybe once or twice a month. I think I put 2 of them last week or the week before. And she just has a simple prompt for them, and they just start talking about it. So it's about that voice and choice at this age level. They talked about New Year's. That was the most recent one that we just put out to them. And at the end, they come up with a joke. So that's kind of fun. So our podcasts, communication newsletters, and emails to families through Friday. I also want to note that our teachers on a weekly basis communicate with families. Every Friday, they send something out to families. And on the next page is about our communication with community members, organizations, and businesses. We continue to partner with LHS on our interns. We currently have 6 students from the high school coming in and doing, kind of like student interns, and more like helpers. And, Ms. Deacon is in charge of that. She works with the assistant principal at the high school, and Mr. Como and her set up, who wants to come in. She puts that out to the staff, and the staff, I think they're working, like I said, through kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. As far as partnerships with the community, we're always looking for new ideas. This year we've done Anton's Coat for Families. We did a Clear Path initiative with the veterans, and what that was, our art teacher, who is amazing, she had all of our students make little pies, and they had an ornament, they had like an ornament string, and it's an organization called Clear Path for Veterans. Every food package that was prepared for the veterans had a little decorative homemade pie that could be hung on their tree or whatever they want to hang up for the holiday season. So we did that. We're going to be partnering with the Wish Project coming up in May for a project for Mother's Day. That's through Chelmsford. And we just look for other ways we can partner with them. One of the ones I would love to partner with on the next one with school-wide and community building events would be the library. We're going to reach out to them again. Kristen Hemis, our amazing art teacher, had reached out to them last year. She puts on the most amazing art show at the end of the year. And last year we did a combined event with Russell Street, which is great because we had both schools there. I mean, we had all floors filled. It was amazing. And then it all comes down pretty quickly after that. And to have it up just for a short period of time is kind of sad. We'd love to keep it up. I know when we had separate ones just at Shaker Lane, it goes up that afternoon and we all stay there and we take it down at the end of the night. So we reached out, and I might push a little bit more this year with the library to host it at the library and leave it up for a couple weeks and for community members to come and see it. So Kristen tried last year. I think I'm going to try this year and see if we can get it in there just so that the community can see the artwork that she's able to get these children to produce is amazing. So that's that. We have Shaky Story Time next Thursday night. That's fun. Springfest is still up and running. We have the evening book fair, and we just started a cultural fair this past fall, which was great. Always looking for ideas with the community. Any questions?
Doing so much. It's great.
No, it's a group effort. Yeah, it's definitely a group effort. It's the cultural fair. Actually, I can't take credit for that. That came out of a PD that was organized with a couple of staff members. I just
made it grow.
And what is did you already report on the cultural fair? I don't want to make you do it.
I don't know if I did it here, but what we did was it was kind of like, let's see what happens, let's put it out there and we'll kind of tweak it as the years go on. So a lot of parents had questions. We asked who was interested. And if you wanted more information, I think we had 12 families present that evening. And they were asking us questions, what do you want us to do? And we said, we just want you to do whatever you want. If you want to bring food, if you want to just do a presentation, if you want visuals, whatever you want. And it was amazing because each family represented a different way to represent their culture. We incorporated, Heidi helped us with this. She incorporated a trip around the world and she used our virtual reality goggles. And we had children take pictures of themselves or look at areas. And they also were able to take a picture behind the green screen in different places across the world. We purchased plus blocks and flags from all kinds of countries that the kids could put together and make a representation. And from there, we started to talk about, all right, next year, maybe we can get some local companies to come in and do a dance or a presentation. So it was really well attended and represented. So I think we're going to build upon that next year.
Yeah, and thank you for your efforts with the new family buddy program. What a great idea. I mean, it's a small thing, but it's a big thing. You know, that would make a huge difference to a new family to feel included in a community. For that.
I was at the cultural fair this year and my daughter was in 2nd grade and she presented to Kelly. I'm just watching her and she's like, and this is India and is like so proudly sharing all about our tradition. So I told Michelle after, it was just such an incredible event to go around to all the other tables and we didn't know what we were doing. So we were like, let's bring a poster and some things. And everybody kind of did their interpretation of it and it came together so beautifully.
And Nishani actually danced.
She danced too.
She did a dance.
She
for us.
came dressed and danced. And I also really love that we're still doing the new family buddy and the kindergarten ambassador, which we started a few years ago. But if there's any parents or families listening, like, it was such a cool experience to be on that council and like we would ask us feedback, we would share suggestions and then we really do it. And I think that's like really a testament to you and like how willing you are to implement things, to listen to families. And so fill out the survey. I think definitely there's a lot of receptiveness to suggestions.
Yeah. Another piece about the cultural fair, thank you. You know, that was really cool was I had a parent say to me, I knew so much about the culture and my daughter knew a little bit. But this gave us a connection because I could tell her more about the history. And that was really cool to hear a dad say that with his daughter out of school. Because he's like, oh, she knows about all the holidays and the things, but to talk about the structures, the landforms, the geography, the location was pretty cool.
And can I just say, I think you're doing a wonderful job building a great foundation for this younger generation of
Evidently.
students. Yeah, and that's and things up for you guys, but you really are you're just creating a wonderful way for the kids to really get to know and understand each other and their culture and be accepting of each other. And, you know, it starts really at this young age. And I think you're doing a wonderful job just kind of spreading that even for everybody. So
Thank you, Stacey. Thanks.
Great job on the newsletter. I can just my feedback. One of the reasons why I don't necessarily always read the newsletter is because I get the Shaker Lane one and then I get the Russell Street one and then the middle school is doing the hyperlink thing and it like all comes at you at the same time. And when you open it, sometimes you're like, okay, I've read the nurse's update, you know, for a year and a half now. It's the same thing. So I know you're pushing the information out, but obviously you want families to digest it and apply the information that's in there so they can have a better experience within schools. I don't know if it gets pushed out and it's like a link to click on it and then it opens so you actually can tell what the readership is. Like if you send out an email and virtually nobody reads it, then maybe we need to switch gears and try something different. But if there's a click and you can get a register, like, okay, we're reaching 25% of the families, then maybe it's effective. And then of course, you know, I don't know, anything that's been in there a couple of times, maybe try to weed out so that we aren't like, oh, I've already read this, so move on. Of course you need to get it out there, but it's just like you were saying, how do we make it more effective? How do we, what families need to hear?
And I think some of that, Justin, I take personal. I feel like if I don't write a paragraph or two, then it's almost like I'm not doing my job.
Mm.
But then I'm wondering, well, I struggle sometimes because it's like, I know the teachers are telling this to the kids, so I'm gonna say it again.
Right.
But I feel like it's an obligation. I can't just say, hey, have a good weekend.
No, I get that.
So, but the other thing is, sometimes I put things, so I agree, like I look and I'm like, all right, did this pass already? Do I have to put this in again? I'm like, all right, the deadline didn't pass it, they didn't read it, and I get it. As a parent, I think I just read last week's Friday flyer from my high school last night, or right after reading council today. I'm like, okay, that was last Friday, I missed that. So I think we're all in that, but I think it's just making it more, what do you guys want to hear? You want the important dates? Do you want the nurses as a link? We actually talked about having it not in an email, but more of like a Google Doc that's just more visually appealing to the eye and attractive and catches what you want right there. And then other stuff there when you're waiting for the hockey game to start or whatever.
Right.
No, but I did write down readership. I think I've only seen that in blogs, but I don't know if there's another way you can
I don't know,
measure
just
it.
an
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, to see how many people are clicking on the link. Yes.
It is funny, because like they all come in at the same time, so, oh, there's, Russell Street, Chick-fil-A, like, it's like
Yeah.
information overload, or like,
Really.
when I have a chance, I'll read it, and then all of a sudden, next week shows up, I'm like, oh, I guess I.
And then
So I didn't
is
think-
every week too much? We didn't ask that question, but I think we do have it over. Like, do you want it every other week? I don't know. I'm just looking for something that is valuable as opposed to, hey, I did it Friday, here it is. Is it any value to anyone?
There's certainly value there, I'm just trying to think of ideas so you could gauge how the information is being received.
Because I know the teachers' ones are read. 100%. I feel like those are read pretty
Right.
consistently.
You feel like that's,
That's the
your,
go-to.
your child's situation, so you want to know what's going on in that classroom.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to, well, two things I wanted to add. One of them, since we are inundated with lots of emails and information, kind of from you, like less is more sometimes, like just really bulleting the things so that we have that second eyes on something, because the teachers tend to be a little bit more narrative with things, which is great. But then those really important things can kind of get lost in that text. But if there's one spot where we have like a really bulleted sequence of things that parents could refer to, that would be really valuable. And my second question to you was for the survey. Are you sending out the survey in the newsletter
No.
that we don't know?
No.
Okay, so
No.
it's coming separate. Okay. wonderful.
It's coming out on Monday.
There you go.
Yeah.
That'd be-
It'll get lost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Agreed.
And I don't necessarily think this is feedback for Shaker Lane only, I think
No.
this is just as parents within the district,
Yes.
it's like, whoa, how do we keep up with all of this?
Same.
Yeah,
I'm right there with you.
yeah, so.
Right there with you.
Don't take this personally, please.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not, but it's like, why do I have that personal guilt if I don't put a paragraph in there that like. I'm struggling, it's like 4:30 and I'm like, oh, I gotta write a paragraph to the parents so they know that I'm doing my job.
I think they know you're doing
But-
it.
Yeah, you're doing your job. All right.
I wonder if topics with a link would be more helpful. Then you have a half page of topics. If you want to find out more about it, you can click on that link. It's still going to be some reading, but at least you have a choice as to what links you click
We
on.
talked about that, especially with the nurses, like nurses link,
Mhm.
here's the information. Yeah, so, yeah.
I mean, it's always a tough balance, and we'll run into parents that read them from beginning to end, and
Yes,
probably a good conversation to have with your PTA and school council as well. So,
well, that's who developed the survey. Our school council developed. the survey.
And that question is on there, so hopefully you'll get some feedback, because I mean, we've all had this conversation many times. We spent time sending things out to our public, feeling that they're important, but if we're not getting the readership, then we have to ask ourselves whether we should be communicating that way, or is there a better way of communicating, or do we need to slow down for a while? We all sat down after we finished the COVID event, and all of us just said, we need to cut down our communication, because we've overloaded families for 2 years with communication, and we did, but it's always tricky trying to figure out that magic way to communicate, to make sure you have sufficient readership.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Great, thanks for sharing.
I'm assuming you read the Russell Street one first, because I saw it out first, and then you're just really tired and you can't do the other one.
Perhaps.
I'm going with that. Before I get into this, I think, over the years of preparing this, I think I'm looking at it from a little bit different angle, and that is our job is to give the information out, right? And so I've had parents say, I don't read any of that ever. I had a parent say, as soon as I see it, I delete it. Okay, that's okay. And I've had other parents say, I look forward to 3 o'clock every week to read what happened at Russell Street. So you know what I mean? There's, and I do think, it is important for us to get the information out. I'm always frustrated when a parent will say, I didn't know it was early release on Wednesday, and I'm like, it was really good. It's like, it was there, and Jason and I were just commenting, like, it does take a long time to put that together, whether it's a link, whether you're writing a paragraph, whether you're just putting all that information together, including pictures, whatever you're doing. And that the hope is always that people will just figure out what they need to scan through. So if you don't need to read the nurse's thing, you don't, so you can read, if you don't want to read what I write, you don't have to. But if all you do is focus on the calendar page for the next week, so you know when there's an early release day or when the PTA meeting is, that's always the hope. So having said that, effectively communicate the district's core values, vision, mission, and beliefs within the community. Action steps at Russell Street are to continue to implement or develop consistent and efficient communication methods. And of course, weekend update is first. And when I go after Michelle, I always remember the things I forget to put on here, but our initial communication, and we've talked about this already, is that we do have 3 orientations in the summer. So, and that's for everybody, anybody who wants to come. We have families that come multiple times. We usually do 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and 1 at night. And we do have families that come 3 times because their child wants to walk through the building, and that's great. So that's sort of our initial communication before the year starts. So that has worked really well. Between the weekend update, as I just talked about that, and the grade level websites, that teachers do all kinds of different things with those, whether it's blogs or different things, but there is a communication page that goes home at the end of every week for each classroom, for that classroom communication. We've also had at Russell Street for the past few years, one of the teachers came upon and designed Russell Street postcards, and they just have a little logo on the front, but a lot of teachers make it one of their goals to make sure that they send a postcard throughout the course of the year to everyone in their class with just a positive message on it. Our front office staff, I do them, and so that's just a fun thing to get for a child to get something in the mail with a positive report on it. We also I have teachers this year that their goal is to make a phone call home. Oftentimes we get into the email writing habit, but it's nice to hear a human voice telling you something good about your child. So that has been the goal for some of the staff too, in terms of communication. For the next school, creatively and effectively utilize technology and media to communicate in our action steps to offer empowering families 101 forums to support families and students. And I apologize that there's a typo there. Over the years, we've had multiple empowering families events. Several years ago, we had a reading night. We followed up last year with a math night that was very well attended. As our indicators for success, family events. We have sponsored family events, and PTA has also sponsored family events. We have a bingo night coming up, the family dance party, the virtual family dance party is still something that PTA has sponsored, and that has been really fun. I think to be able to have virtual events is one of the good things that came out of the pandemic, is that, and those things are really easy to. I'm saying they're really easy because no one from PTA is here. They're not really easy, but it's certainly easier than being in the cafeteria or the gym at the school. And they're very well attended, and it's for the whole family. I suspect more moms and dads are dancing virtually than they would if they were in the gym or the cafeteria. Of course, I need to thank Heidi McGregor and Julie Lord and others for our think tank activities as well. The Pass the Pepper and things like that we've talked about over the years. And I can't say anything about it, but Heidi was just at ECC. It's top secret, but something's happening pretty soon. She would be mad if we told about it, but there's another, event that's coming out shortly. So, those have been really good ways to just kind of keep that connection between school and students and home and families. For the strengthened partnerships, businesses, civics, organizations, and community members at large. At Russell Street, we have a really good partnership with both the middle school and the high school. Because the middle school is right next door and kids can walk over. We have kids come over at the end of the day when their school day is over and ours is not. We have kids that are able to volunteer in classrooms, so that has worked out really well. So we have a large number of LMS kids that come over. And we have a large number, I don't know exactly the number, but we have a lot of high school kids that come over. We have another, I just have another student that I was able to pair with a third grade teacher today, who's going to start next week. It's really a valuable experience. I was walking down the hallway from the cafeteria today, and a high school student was sitting on the floor with a group of kids outside of the art room, and they were counting caps. Bottle caps for a project that Mrs. Hennis is doing shortly. And it was great to see this big high school kid with the little, elementary kids counting out literally thousands of caps. But they're really wonderful about, helping in the gym, being in the classroom, doing academic tasks with kids. And sometimes it's kids that have this idea that they would like to be an educator in the future. And sometimes it's just a kid who wants to use up their time instead of sitting in a study or not doing something, and they come over and they'll do anything. And that has really been a wonderful partnership. Keith Camo, or the guidance counselors will communicate with us if they have a student that has some time. And that's great for that we have that initiative happening. And in terms of our last action step, it's to continue to identify and implement ways to increase public awareness of positive happenings within school and school events. We have put out publications for the onto the district website in the past. That's really one that we continue to work with our school council on to build partnerships in the community with local educational institutions and organizations. That's sort of one of that we have an asterisk with that we continue to need to work on. But it's certainly an area that we want to add, but I think in terms of our communication at this point, certainly with those 2 mentoring programs, we've done a good job to this point. Any questions?
I just have one comment that's super random. This all looks great. This is wonderful. But your comments to some parents not knowing when there's an early release, they count like kind of that calendar notification issue. This might be like a Kelly thing, but a lot of parents don't know that you can subscribe to the calendar and just have it like automatically uploaded into your calendar, and they're like manually putting in like dozens of dates and times. And it's actually very hard on our website to find where to subscribe to those calendars. So I just feel like if there was some education at the beginning of the year at all the schools for parents to like step by step and say like, you don't have to manually do this, that might help a little bit with those miscommunications as to when.
Put it in the newsletter. Actually, I could write a letter at the beginning of the year, and we'll do that. I mean, the other option is the old fashioned way, just run off the calendar and put it on your fridge. I still do that at times, even though I have electronic calendar.
Right.
Once you dump that hyperlink into Outlook, though,
Yep.
it just continues to work.
It just,
That's true.
I mean,
Yeah.
you subscribe
It's
once and it.
amazing.
continues to
So it's
work.
always there.
It's always
Yeah.
there, but it is tricky to find on the website because anything on the website immediately goes to the PDF printout. It doesn't take you to where you can upload it to your calendar. So that was just.
Even maybe take a look at doing something during the evenings that we have curriculum meetings first of the year. Just have a 5-minute segment and teach people how to upload the calendar.
Yeah.
So,
Put it on the mom's Facebook group.
That's where.
there you go.
I'm like, guys, please stop manually putting this in.
Right.
please."
So maybe you posted it. Thank you. Genius.
Well, that's good to know, because we wouldn't have realized that.
Yeah.
Sometimes make assumptions and it's not true.
So, but that's it. Thank you for reminding.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl.
I just want to propose to the committee that after the clapping that went on for so long for the first presentation, I think we should just make it a part of the norms that whenever a principal comes up to speak, that there should be a round of applause. Like, or at least that's, yes, all right. I like it, all right?
That one was from Challenge.
I mean, why not, right? They do it in baseball. We can have walk-up music, right? I can pick a song and. The goals for Littleton Middle School are really focused in one particular area, and that is figuring out how to get families connected that we don't normally have in our buildings or in parts of our communication. One of the things that I really want us to start focusing on is as we have more and more families moving into the Littleton community, whether it's from another city, town, state, country, how welcome are we when these families come through the door, right? Are we just there to process their paperwork and get them going? Or is there something, a soft landing that we could provide at the middle school to help families really start to feel welcome and a part of the community, even if it's just about the community itself, just some of the options and resources that are there. So I really want us at the middle school to really start to think about what that looks like. How welcome are we? What is the process in which we bring new families in? We have families who are there for everything and respond to everything, and there are plenty that we just don't hear from. And those are the ones I want coming up to parent conferences. Those are the ones I want to see at back to school night or other events. And so that's, I think, what we have to figure out is to really strengthen that two-way communication, that school-home partnership. I've got to get that third of families that we don't normally see to be a part of what we're doing. So how we do that, we'll see. I think one of the things that I want to do is start making the middle school a place, and I've said it before, really a hub of the school community, a place where people can come and it doesn't have to be anything stressful or anxious, but rather just a celebratory moment. Like, for example, we started this fall, we did a cookout for the first time, a summer cookout. Kelly and Steve and Lynn got out there and cooked, and it was great until we got overrun by the bees, and then things kind of fell apart after that, but we'll figure out that part. But so adding events for families to come and just be able to mingle with each other, get to know other new families, and get to know teachers and staff. We had a lot of teachers show up, and that was really great. And on their own time, and they brought their families. And so that's the kind of stuff that I want to see. I want us to humanize what we do at the middle school so that people begin to show up. Hopefully then as we do that, we'll start to see that diversity of families and really begin to build those long-term relationships. And then finally, when it comes to the actual two-way communication, really sitting down and assessing what are we doing that's successful. Like at the middle school, we do like a Google site that we send out for the weekend update. So when families open it, they can just click on grade 6. They don't have to scroll through everything. They can just click on the grade or the department that they want and get that information right there. So that ease of use, but we also want it to be two-way. Right now, that's a one-way situation. And so it's figuring out how do we get families the opportunity to be a voice in what we do in the middle school. And then figuring out what is it that we're doing that we're not getting the bang for the buck. What are those things that we could improve upon and maybe shift a little bit so that we are getting more of that investment. So, just continuing the positive feedback and appreciation for the families that we have who are just the bedrock of what we do, but how do we become more inclusive of the whole community? And so that's really what we're going to focus on over the next 3 years. Questions?
Yeah, you made me remember something this was a while ago when my kids were in middle school, but of course, it's the first time kids are experiencing departmentalization.
Mm-hmm.
In elementary school, they have one teacher that's helping them manage themselves. But then, you get to middle school and you've got a different teacher for different content areas. And at the time my kids were in the middle school, there was a push to have the assignments posted so that, you would know when there's an ELA test or when there's a math test. And I think it was just some grade levels. It wasn't the whole 6, 7, 8. But it was really, I thought it was helpful for the teachers as well, so that they didn't both schedule a test on the same day and cause, a lot of burden on the students. So do you know if that initiative has survived?
So at our school, like we don't put up necessarily the teacher websites in the weekend update, but most of the teachers have their own website that includes that. Many of our special education teachers, they put everybody's websites on theirs and all of the work. So for students that just need to have it all centrally located, but it's certainly accessible to all families. And so that way families can go through and see if they know where to go. So kind of like we were talking about earlier, if you don't know where to go to find it, you know, that's something we can certainly add to it. So it's out there, but it hasn't been as prominent as we probably could. I do know that our teachers work together to make sure as often as possible that there's not multiple assessments on the same day or things like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, for families that are planning to be gone or looking forward, you know, to seeing what over the next couple of weeks, it would certainly be helpful. So
Yeah,
we have it, but we're
families-
not using it in the right way.
Yeah, or for families who know that their child has like executive functioning difficulties, that
Right.
the parent needs to really help them manage themselves at home to make sure they're staying on top of things. It's, you know, I think it's sort of a unique challenge at middle school because it's such a transition time for kids. Because they're all grown up by the time they get to high school, right?
Right. Right. Yes.
Great.
All right. Thank you, John.
Thanks.
Boss.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
All right, so a lot of what has already been said by my colleagues actually would be things I would say. So a lot of it has already been captured, particularly related to the newsletter. We really talked a lot with Michelle about that. And then we have the same at the other end of the spectrum at the upper level grades at the high school. We're certainly looking at our newsletter to see how we can best reach our audience and communicate the information they need in a timely manner. But to get started, you know, this standard area focused on community engagement and collaboration. We effectively communicate the district's core values in a variety of ways. But one of the particular ways that's really under review right now is our NEASC reaccreditation process. So I want to give you a brief update of where we're at with that. We have surveyed students, parents, staff members about the vision of the graduate. So we can sort of check that off as an indicator of success. In terms of publishing a vision of a graduate in narrative and visual form, that's in progress and that should be published in February. So that's coming soon to you and to the public at large. We already have formed our steering committee. Their work is underway. We have co-chairs of our steering committee, Tracy Turner and Paul Orzik, and they are doing a fabulous job right now of leading our self-reflection process. There's a variety of committees formed, 5 different ones for 5 different standard areas. So you'll get a thorough, more comprehensive update at a future date, just focused on NEASC. But that reflection process is underway. We're examining all our practices at the high school and align with the NEASC standards. We aim to host the NEASC Collaborative Conference in April, specifically 9th and 10th. I just spoke with the chair and the assistant chair of our visiting committee that's coming in April this past week. So we're on target with our preparations. We have already prepared a budget for this year. There'll be a multi-year cost for this reaccreditation process. The biggest expense coming during our decennial visit in 2026 in May. So we'll keep the central office as well as the school committee apprised of that as we go through each different step or milestone. So that's an update on NEASC, but very much a community effort. It's involved lots of community engagement. I thought that was important. It's unique at the high school, so I wanted to put that first and foremost into talking about that tonight. And similar to the other school districts, as I mentioned at the outset, we are looking to update our school website. That's plans for the future, improving our newsletter and social media postings with the transition from, Twitter to X. That's under review and discussion on how we can best engage students and parents who we use some other type of platform. This is one of them we're also discussing. We have an active partnership that we have for years with LCTV. We want to thank LCTV once again for featuring the helicopters and the landing, U.S. Army helicopters landing at LHS on December 7th. I think that was very helpful for the public who couldn't attend to be able to see it and view it, and they can still view it now and see the coverage. I've certainly shared it with family and friends. It was nice for them to see. And we'll continue to look to broaden our coverage of large-scale school events. One of the things that we have worked really closely with LCTV on is our graduation and senior events, including the celebratory community parade.
session around town. LCTV covers that, so thank you, LCTV. In terms of strengthening partnerships with business, civic organizations, and community members, my colleagues highlighted a number of things that are going on between the high school and the other schools, internships. Our kids really look forward to that. We've had a number of, it's interesting to just note, total aside, but it fits into this. We've had a number of students who are on break from college, particularly Mass Amherst students who have a longer break that goes right up to the end of the month, or the first week of February. They're subbing for us. Our alumni have come back. I said, I can remember you were a freshman and now you're in college, you're almost graduating. So it was been in Wilton for a while, so I've seen all these kids grow up before my eyes. And it's nice to see kids aspire, who are interested in teaching. But I also think that's a testimony to our faculty and the school committee and the school district on the type of the quality of the experience that students are having, that we desperately need quality, talented teachers to consider that as talented people consider teaching as a profession. And it's nice to see that we have alumni speaking and looking forward and hugging their former teachers and looking forward to seeing them because of the impact they've had on them, and they've come back. And we have a number of alumni who are teaching assistants who have been hired as faculty members in the district, not just at the high school. So that's a testimony to, I think, just a little to the strength of its education program. So I wanted to mention that in terms of a partnership and things right away. Liz Snow, mentioned to me right before I came up to the podium that there's a number of partnerships to highlight with the transition program, our 18 to 22-year-old program, special education. They do a lot of work with, I'll just like to give a shout out to some businesses, Acton Toyota, Great Road Nutrition, Deb's Beds, Meals on Wheels, Springdale Farm. The list could go on, but there's a lot of things happening where our kids are going out into community each and every day. So I want to thank all those businesses for their partnership with LHS and our transition program. Other things that I've mentioned, maybe when we've covered other standard areas, Littleton Scholarship Trust, the Rotary, we definitely have strong partnerships with Park and Rec and Library. We collaborate with them each and every week, if not certainly every month. So thank you to them for their partnership with the high school. And so going back to the specifics of the table here, one of the things we wanted to do is we had kind of had suspended this during the last few years, but we're hosting roundtables, Keith Cabot and I, with parents. And there's an upcoming one that we'll advertise. Right now, it's February 7th. I'm not sure if we might have to reconsider that date. We haven't really publicized it yet because there is the townwide concert on the 6th. There's a school committee meeting on the 8th. We want to make sure that it's a night that parents could get out. Maybe that's too much for all in 1 week. But that's a night where we would have an open forum where parents can come and talk to us about the vision of the graduate. We'll have some topic suggestions, school improvement goals, but it can also be an open forum just for dialogue around different topics that maybe parents want to bring up and meet with the principals. We also will do this in the morning. Just last week, we held a principal's coffee. It wasn't just coffee, we had other things, but we call it traditionally the principal's coffee, where Keith and I can meet with parents. And we'll continue to host those as long as parents find them helpful. Like the other schools, we're going to look for, and I think Jason spoke very clearly about this. We're going to look for those are traditional things we've done. We'd like to look at other ways to engage parents in a thoughtful way. And so that they would, maybe it's virtual too, that I think people find more accessible if they don't have to drive into the high school at 6 o'clock. They can hop on for a call or a virtual meeting and be there for 10 minutes, do their thing and exit without the commitment of driving up to the high school and stuff like that. So we were discussing that today. So stay tuned for updates on that. The other thing I wanted to highlight with strengthening partnerships in civic engagement, and this is a school improvement goal, is to promote and enhance and highlight civic education engagement, especially in 2024 with an important election year ahead of us. So all the things on the right, the indicators of success, history department update, program of studies, all those things are in progress. We have hosted some guest speakers. We just had a Holocaust survivor come in and speak to students. So we want to have other guest speakers come in and talk about important contemporary topics. Civic engagement is going to be a big front and center for us at the high school in 2024. We will host a voter registration drive. The list goes on there. And we've already, under curriculum, I think we've already talked about the civics projects. And you'll get a curriculum update from the social studies and history curriculum coordinator about the status of civics projects in the spring. So that's just something I wanted to make a mention of, because civic connection with civic organizations is very important, but also developing a civic mindset and helping students become engaged. We certainly saw that visible tonight here with all the middle school students, that they're civically engaged. But that about sums it up for the high school in terms of this particular standard area. That's my update for you tonight. Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, I'm glad you made that connection with the student-led civics projects and just the level of student agency that we saw here tonight with the students that came here. That I think both of those initiatives attack that same
Yes.
goal
Yeah.
of students becoming educated on something that matters to them and then speaking out and trying to make a difference in the world. So I'm really glad to hear that the student-led civics projects are a priority. And are you collaborating with Jason on that too? Because it's an 8th grade requirement as well.
I think the teachers are more so. It's more, the 8th grade teacher talking to as a member of the department talking. And the curriculum coordinator this year is at the middle school as well.
Yeah.
So, so they're coordinating with our teachers on that.
Because Desi's having a showcase of the Action Civics project. So it would be great to give our students in Littleton an opportunity to present their projects along with other communities in a.
Since we're connected with, if I can jump in, so
Yeah.
we're connected with Generation Food.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, yes, thank you. Because that connection made last spring, which was wonderful, so
Nice.
we are partnered with them this year. And we just recently did sign up to join their civics showcase day. So we will be participating in that in some way, shape or form. We'll see how many projects we get in.
Well, I would be happy to go and be what they call them community advisors, so the people who go around with the rubrics.
Perfect.
there you
So,
go.
yeah. That's very exciting news. And the other thing you were speaking about a little earlier about the vision of the graduate.
Yep.
Whenever I think about that, I think that, it should be more of like a vertical alignment, like K to 12. It shouldn't just be just the high school. And I wonder,
Yep.
I know you always have so much in your leadership agenda, if that ever is something that
So
you
there,
can collaborate all 4 principals on.
Yeah, we've
vision of the
talked about that
Yeah.
pre-COVID. And but used a bit of, language was a bit different. I'm looking more at, and it is a vision of a student, but what do you want our students to learn when they've finished each school?
Yep.
So K to 2, what are the important accomplishments that every student should have to be successful? Softer language, just as much meaning. And we continue those discussions. I'd like to see that actualized now that we're getting back into a rhythm. And the vision of a graduate should really set the tone for, these are the ultimate goals we're looking for when our students graduate, but it is really important, as far as I'm concerned, that we do identify those skill sets that we feel are important when they transition to their next school. And then have an opportunity to measure how well we're doing. And it doesn't have to be a whole curriculum. What do our kids need to be successful?
Yeah.
So we are.
Soft handoff between each school, that you,
Exactly.
and that it's all aligned so that by the time they graduate, you can say, yes, they got this from Shaker Lane and they got this from.
Yeah,
Pleasant Street.
Exactly.
there's pretty tight alignment, I know, across, vertical alignment with curriculum, but also with school programs and strategic plan. There are a few districts out there that have done that. They've done a comprehensive, I almost say pre-K to 12. Mendon Upton has done that. I'm pretty close contact with their principal. So that's something that would be maybe a future initiative. As for what we're required to do for NEASC, it's the vision of the graduate at the high school level. But that would be something that would be worth considering. It has been done, but as I looked at sample visions of the graduate across the state, they're few and far between the ones that you mentioned that are that comprehensive where they take on that initiative. And just to set you a little bit at ease or some reassurance, we did survey, we sent out surveys, accreditation surveys, to the parents at the different schools, as well as the faculty at each school. So we did include them to get their thoughts on what should, even though you're at Schcmte, what do you think that our high school students should be graduating?
That's
In
awesome.
terms of attributes and skills.
Yeah, I think it's a good community builder, but nothing else.
And no, sure.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to just mention before I step away is just to thank the police department for their active, we're the police station after all, the fire department, for their active collaboration with us on a regular basis, but on so many different things. One of the things we will be looking to do is get together with them to host another driver safety, activity or assembly in the spring, probably in April this year. I was just talking to our school resource officer, Meg Wazinski, about that, but that's something we want to bring. We do that generally every other year. So the students experience it in their time at Littleton High School, but it's time to once again do it. So that I want to thank them for their partnership and anticipation of what the close work we'll be doing together in the spring.
Great,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thanks.
I think bring on.
Yeah.
Just wanted to piggyback about
Kelly, go ahead.
what John had said. It's really special to have our alumni come back and want to be part of our schools. And it's through the hard work of our teachers, our elementary principals, because that's where we encourage our students to go when they're in high school. And they have an opportunity to help younger students. They develop that confidence level. They get into college, they come back and they feel somewhat of a calling to come out and help. That confidence was instilled with their experience when they were in high school. And it's really nice to see. That doesn't happen all over. And for them to feel comfortable, for them to want to come back after 12 years of schooling, and then have that confidence to go back into a classroom and teach students. And whether they come to a high school, they're maybe 4 years older than the students that they're teaching. So I'm really proud of that. And there's not a lot of schools that have experienced that. I go back to myself when I first graduated with an education degree. I was in a city of over 1 million people. And it was just a fluke. I was interviewed by an HR department, not even close to the school, and they placed me in the school I graduated. And I had 4,000 kids, but I was 20 years old at that time, and I was placed in a high school for a long-term leave, which turned into a full-time job. And I thought that was an incredible experience for me. I felt really intimidated at first, but it was a growth opportunity for me as it started my career. So it's really proud of those kinds of indicators of success. And we need to be looking for more of those. The academic standardized tests, et cetera, are important, but so are these other skills that we see and the willingness of our graduates to come back and be part of our community, because they could go anywhere in the world and stay, and they choose to come back to them. So it's very powerful. So I guess I'm almost at the tail end of the agenda.
Yes, one question for you as it relates to this
Sure.
topic we discovered. So I think we do a nice job of making this information available to everyone because it's online, the district-wide school improvement plan, and then each individual school. And it references, for indicators of success, it references end of the year school improvement plan, some of the reports. Right, that doesn't seem like it's public information. I don't see those listed anywhere, but is that
Yeah, it is. It's in the town report.
town report? Okay.
Correct. We put our final reports in the town report. It's published with all the other
Alright.
departments. If you haven't already, you'll be writing a report.
Yeah, no, okay. I was just curious where that information was.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And if you recall, we've contributed significantly to the design of the book. We have student artwork on the cover. We always present, have an award winner for the cover of the town report, and artwork from our schools is dispersed throughout the handbook or throughout the report. So we've come a long way with promoting that as a school sponsored summary document as well. It used to be pretty like years ago. And the town's actually won awards for it. Great. What's that? The last 3 years, that's right.
I'll dig that out and get it out to everybody so you can take a look at it. All right, so we'll move on to our new business item, which is the case collaborative annual report
Perfect.
by Superintendent Clenchey.
You hear me talk about case a lot, and so I was looking at this report the other day, and I thought, maybe this is a good way to really give you a greater sense of how the case collaborative ties into what we do in our school district. This is the 46th year that the case has been in existence. So if you go back, that was 1977 when case first opened its doors. Those of you who were around in 1997 or even on the Earth's surface at that time, that might be a little harder for you to grasp this, but that was the decade where special education programming began to form. Prior to that, students were integrated into the school and there were no specialized programs. People or districts, states went in different ways. There are some states, and including Massachusetts, there's a mixture, but there are specialized schools to provide services that public schools cannot provide for students that have their own buildings and their own programs. So they're not in an inclusive environment with their peers. So, and that wasn't uncommon back then, and it's still common in some areas today. But what really impresses me when I go back and look at what happened in 1997, there were a group of superintendents that were visionaries back then, and we knew the importance of keeping these students within public schools, within their communities or communities that were part of the collaborative. That model still holds today. And the superintendents that have sat around that table for 46 years they preserved that culture, which is really impressive when you think about it. We have 2 programs in our school. We used to have 4, and we're down to 2 now. And part of it is we opened up a high school like 7 years ago. I was chairman of the board of directors at that time. And Case serves a lot of students throughout the region. So I'm going to go to if you could just go to page 3, that'd be a great place to start. Our executive director, Schcmte has been with us about 8 years. And when Schcmte came to the collaborative, we were struggling, financially struggling, trying to keep up with the trends of districts, including ours, beginning to incorporate programs into their schools. For example, our PACE programs, or transition program. And they had to retool and meet the needs of new students that we were getting that public schools couldn't meet their needs. So it was a huge transition. Cost was a factor as well. At that time, the tuition costs for Case were higher than many other surrounding collaboratives. So we really needed to overhaul the collaborative, and thank goodness we did it successfully, and it's still viable to today. But it's like any organization, if you're not looking toward the future, it's hard to keep your place. And if you're not careful, you will be put out of business simply because you didn't vision and realize that the students that you have can now be served in the schools that belong to the collaborative. So I think that point is worth emphasizing. Schcmte has done an incredible job. Has worked with the board of directors to make us more competitive, and you'll see that later on when you look at our tuition costs compared to other collaboratives and private placements. So on page 7, you can see the 11 member districts that are part of Case. We had 14 about 7-8 years ago, but a few districts pulled out for various reasons. And the districts that you have listed there have been with Case since the creation of Case. So they're long-term members. And if we go to page 10, there are a number of programs that Case offers. The first one is the Empower program. And the Empower program is a specialized program that meets the needs of students with complex language and learning challenges. So that's what we call an Empower program. Second program is the Learning for Life program. LFL it's called. It's a specialized program that addresses the many different cognitive, physical, medical, communication, and social needs of students. Very, very specialized programming. Third program is a therapeutic intervention program. It's a program that meets the needs of students experiencing mental health issues, school adjustment issues, trauma, history, behavioral and social challenges, and other issues interfering with accessing grade level of curriculum and making substantial progress. You know, very, very important programs for students that are struggling. And they also have an extended year program as well called ESY. We have one in our district, and CASE for many years housed their program out of Russell Street School. And it was, I think, one of many rewarding experiences I've had as a superintendent to have students from all of those districts that attend CASE congregate in one school for a summer program. Quite a humbling experience. And we finally, had to say that because our schools use 12 months a year, we need some time to do some maintenance on it. So if somebody else could take over for a little while, that would be great. So they're in Concord now, and eventually they'll be back with us. But it's nice that the districts that belong to the collaborative are willing to share spaces, with CASE and other districts. So the picture on the Extended School Services Program, that's part of Colebrook High School. And the Colebrook High School was in an old shabby building that really wasn't designed for the students that it had. So we made a decision that we needed to change things up, and we wouldn't have been eligible for MSBA funding at that time, but we knew we needed to do something different. So we shopped around, found a factory that was in really good shape. We decided not to buy it, but lease it, with the caveat that they would hire a contractor and design a school to our specifications. So that's what we've done. They did an incredible job. The transportation department for CASE is also housed out of that building, and it's an incredible building, and no comparison to what CASE had for many, many years. I actually meet there once a month with negotiations every 2 weeks. And it's really a pleasure to go into that building knowing that I played a key role in making that happen. And if we go on to page 17. Cost effectiveness of the programs, the Empower program. Our tuition is $75,000. If we do a comparison to other non-CASE programs, the average is $98,896. As I've said, 7-8 years ago, we weren't competitive, and now we're very competitive. Learning for Life program, LFL program, tuition that we charge is $80,000. Surrounding areas, other programs, average is $109,314. Therapeutic Intervention Program, also known as TIP. Tuition that CASE Collaborative charges is $62,000. Area collaboratives and private placements, $84,282 is the average. Colebrook TIP High School for Public Day, we charge $62,000 for tuition. We're unique in having a high school like that. Very unique for a collaborative to actually venture into that arena. So we're really proud of what we've done over time, and it's going to keep CASE solid. One of the challenges that CASE has with populations increasing in different special education categories. We're an example. We have 4 PACE programs now. We're opening up a therapeutic program at Shaker Lane next year. This pulls from pre-existing programs and collaboratives such as CASE. So, we've been working with the executive director and the staff to try to identify what is the future programs that are going to be required for CASE for them to continue to be competitive in the market. It's not an easy task, but it's a necessary task, and they're up to the challenge. It's going to take a while to retool because you're looking at staff that also need very different qualifications as well as we move forward. So, page 19, program enrollment. It's a small entity, but as you can tell from the cost, the services are expensive, requiring, significant staff, specialized staff. They currently, last year, Mark, correct, it was 108 students, and they're about 110, 112 students now. And since I've been on case for 13 years, I think the largest I've seen is maybe 120 students. So they're functioning where they need to be at this time. Page 21, transportation. The case transportation is probably one of the most efficient transportation systems I've seen in my career. And, they transport more than 350 students, and often those students are on a single van. There are times where they can put 2 students on a van. Very competitive, and the quality of transportation service is really unbelievable. The time I've been here, I very seldom ever remember receiving a complaint of any student being transported with a case van. That's incredible, and they hire good drivers. They're able to retain their drivers in this market, which is really hard to do. So I'm very proud of that part, and it really helps with the revenue for case as well. So on page 22 is a summary. They transported last year 354 students. They transported students to 85 different programs, 41 different towns, 57 total routes, and routes with more than one student, 56, routes with students from more than one case district, 53. Pretty impressive when you look at that, the distances that they're traveling every day, working with different start and end times for schools, etc. So really proud of cases, you can tell, and the transportation department has done a tremendous job. So I just wanted to give you a brief overview of what CASE does, and I hope I answered any questions you may have. If not, please feel free to ask questions. Questions? Comments?
Thank you for highlighting this. I think it can tend to be a little behind the scenes with the other things that we tend to talk about, but it's really such an important program, and just so impressed that the role that you've been playing in this regionalized effort. So
well, thank you
for everything you're doing with this. This is very impressive.
It's it's a pleasure. I've always had a desire to be part of specialized programs. When I was in Canada as a superintendent, I was instrumental in creating storefront schools. I don't know if you've heard of storefront schools before, but it was a way to capture, and I shouldn't maybe use that word, but it was kind of capturing. We had people living on the street, we had people living in cars, kids that were not traditional learners, and by putting them in a mall with a small school integrated into the mall, we were able to educate hundreds of students around time, and it was just the setting. The setting made all the difference in the world. I mean, that's one memory I'll always cherish, because we made a huge difference in many children's lives. A lot of it was due to the circumstances that they were faced with themselves. So this is just an extension of, my philosophy is we need to educate every student and do the best job that we can, and do everything we can to make them successful. This program certainly helps to do that. So.
Is this on the district website, this report?
It is not. It's on the case collaborative's website.
Okay.
But
so parents can access it.
they can.
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine it's just very reassuring to see, if you're a parent of a case student, you see your one little entry point, that your student has, and it's just so impressive to see the whole wraparound, how there's different programs for specific needs, and that it seems like it's been so well thought out that there's a place for everybody.
It has been. And it is really, really difficult for parents to come to terms with, the fact that maybe their community school isn't the best place for their child. And it's tough. If we can offer quality programs where they feel a sense of belonging, and their needs are being met, I mean, that's what it's all about. And we've been successful with bringing a number of those students back into our district. they've gone to these programs, been able to move forward with some of the challenges that they've had, and have been able to integrate back into our schools. And that's really, that's so rewarding to see that happen. And for the parents to maintain that confidence with us, it's it's incredible. It's so important, but it's another indicator that what we're doing is working. And this isn't the only program that we use. We have private placements, et cetera. We place students that go beyond what CASE can provide. Massachusetts is the best state I've ever been in, or province I've been in terms of meeting the needs of special education students. It's not hard for me to admit, but I spent 13 years of my career in Massachusetts in education for a number of years. So to say that is a pretty powerful statement.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So based on this report, we have 3 students, 3 Littleton residents.
Yes.
That are in this CASE collaborative. We would consider these out of district placements, but like you
Correct.
said, this isn't the only option for these folks. So what do we do? Make a referral to CASE for these folks? And
We work with parents and we give them a choice of taking a look at a few different placements. And we want to make sure our parents are happy with those placements that we show them they choose eventually. And if at all possible, we want them to help us make that decision. If they're comfortable with where their child is going, the chances of success is so much greater.
other questions? No?
Thank you.
Great. Thanks for sharing that, Kelly. Okay, we were gonna take a brief pause to see if we have any interested citizens. Or just shaking me off. Okay, so we'll roll through our subcommittee reports. PMBC.
PMBC, I think all I have on that was just the roof update for the high school is supposed to be done. I think it's guaranteed to be done next week, hopefully. They promised us it would be done next week after some issues with the materials that they received, so still a work in progress. But that was all I had for
All right, next is budget subcommittee. You can report that school committee had a joint meeting with the finance committee and the select board on Tuesday. We had an opportunity at their request to present a revised fiscal year 2025 budget. So I just want to thank Superintendent Clenchey and Business Manager Steve Mark, as well as Jen Gold, who's the other subcommittee member, for the work that went into getting really close to meeting the town's ask. And also want to thank the select board and the finance committee for sort of a collaborative approach on the budgeting cycle this year. It's a difficult upcoming year for the town. And the approach, I think, has been one that I believe will be successful. Visiting with each department and asking each department to take a closer look. And for those that are at home, what we did was we had our initial budget, and then we were asked to revise our budget by $270,000. We were able to take a closer look, not cut any services, not offer anything less than we planned to, but present an appropriated budget for $250,000 less than the initial ask. We're in a very good position with a healthy school choice balance. So in the event that we run into these extra $250,000 expenses, we'll look to self-fund and we'll go on with the program that's scheduled. So I think that was a pretty successful meeting, and I'm optimistic that revised budget request will be one that will be accepted by the town. So policy subcommittee.
We have just met, and you can look forward to the grouping of the C policies at the next meeting.
That we will.
We're a serious group. Won't be 2 or 3
We
policies.
did A and we did B, and we're on to C. So you'll see all of those in the agenda.
Excellent.
Oh, thank you.
All right, the Shaker Lane building subcommittee update.
Yeah, Kelly and I can probably work together on this, but I can just lay the foundation for you. So our request for designer services was approved by MSBA, which is a good sign, so that's a good thing. So we can start to put out the project publicly for designers to start to give us proposals for. So I believe the language for the job post has been put together, and that's gonna be going out within the next few weeks. So I don't know if we have a deadline on that just yet.
It gets published in the Central Register on the 31st,
The 31st,
and
okay.
then it's going in the newspaper, Lowell Sun. I think it might go in tomorrow, but certainly by next week.
Okay, so then we'll be receiving those proposals, and then by, I think it's March 26th, we have to make a design committee. Selection committee has to make a decision on which designer will be going with, so we are making good progress.
Designer, not design.
Designer.
Yeah, right.
And then after that, we present, I don't know if it's the top three, still don't have that information, but how many finalists we have. And MSBA, I think I mentioned this before, actually makes the decision. They'll consider our recommendation. They will decide what company they're going to use.
For that feasibility study,
Design stuff.
design stuff.
Yeah, we've already hired the feasibility architect. Yeah, he's helping us with the design process.
Okay. Would you just keep us posted and the public posted on when those opportunities for public input are gonna be on? Sure. Cause like, obviously the community is gonna wanna be heard. Everyone's got their own idea as to what should be done. And we certainly don't wanna spend $1 million and have someone say, why didn't you think of this? I'm sure there's lots of opportunity and that's not anywhere near, but.
Correct. So TTH, Turner Townsend here, is the OPM firm. And they are well versed in community engagement as far as listening to the wants of the community when they do their designs.
So that'll be like. Spring, summer,
It'll
fall.
be,
Yeah, I have a few dates here, and as long as we adhere to these timelines, by March 26, 2024, we'll have a designer contract executed.
Okay,
And by December 11th, 2024, the MSBA Board of Directors will have to meet with them, and there will be a preferred schematic report approval at that time. So things are going to ramp up next fall.
okay.
But I can continue on. Feasibility study agreement expiration is October 25th, 2025. So we're doing well in terms of schedule. Local project funding authorization will be December 30th, 2025. 2025, we should know, well, we will know. Is it a renovation? Is it a new build? Where is it going to go if it's a new build? And then we have to go back to our public and ask for the money that we need to fund the project.
Right, so is that fall meeting 2025? Is that,
Yes.
Okay.
Then December 2nd, 2026, construction is supposed to start. And substantial completion of construction, March 20th, 2029, move-in would be June 12th, 2029.
So far in the future.
It is, isn't it?
Okay.
So it kind of gives you an idea of
Yeah.
the scope of.
good. Any other subcommittee reports, any other items, future items to be discussed, anything? Hearing none, I'll just announce that our next school committee meeting is February 8th, 7 p.m. out of the Littleton Police Department. There was some talk about potentially maybe moving our meetings to the library because they've got such a nice setup there. But we do a better job here of having a hybrid meeting, so we'll just, where folks can chime in from home. We'll just continue to stay here unless we want a fancy room at some point, but.
And for us.
All right, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Sure.
Motion made by Stacy, seconded by Elaine. All those in favor to keep us saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that's a wrap. Thank you.
Thank you.